Freeform Habits, the 16th of September, 2024. It is like when God would ask us while reviewing our lifetime with us and would ask us to identify whom they were doing their deeds for, whose teachings we were following, and what hadiths we based our rationality and judgment upon. Sometimes a person may speak a hadith or an ayah in the Quran, not sure about whether it is authentic or not, doesn't know what they are saying, doesn't care, and just says it anyway. وَهُمْ مِنْ فَزَعِ يَوْمَئِذٍ آمِنُونَ. Why would you sprinkle obsession over an animal? That is when you slap the philosopher across the face and tell him that he had lost his conception of time, ironically. There are those who would be resurrected asking whether so much time had passed since their last resurrection. It is like being resurrected would happen over and over, where they would end up lost at the last one, not knowing whether too much time had passed. That is when people who do not know would follow the currents, would follow the flow. Those who spoke against themselves will also have angels reciting to them what they had continued to deny. Those who were sent to the grave are shown their deeds to lament and to remember what they had done. Whom they called upon beside God had already deserted them. It seems like even guides they had taken aside from humans will also desert them. And we had thought that neither jinn nor humans would ever tell a lie about God. And there are those who would claim to be what they are not, making it even difficult to rationalize. Should pleasure and joy only be sought out for this world, when the next world, even at its very inception, is as interesting as anything could be? To speak what you feel is to have experienced what you mean. A word being altered at temporarily unequal timestamps. When a drop of water falls on a pool of water, showing the sanctity of the water to the Creator to have made it an example. A word is similar to a drop of water. It is no wonder for a beautifully jealous God to desire the use of another word. To think that someone or their guide would have any say in what happens to people who are sacrificed for a Valhalla of their own delusions. If words are instead treated as vines harvested by the passerbys who move underneath it, they would be pleasing to conceptualize. It is like being asked, "Where are you going with this?" and you answering due to your evidence to wherever it will lead. It's a jump between heedlessness towards blind belief or a belief in the afterlife, of being resurrected after death, and that life does have a purpose rather than the bunch of infinite probabilities conundrum. In such a way, instead of taking the evidence at face value and in shallow observance of religion from afar, instead of being drowned into it, if evidence are taken at face value, we wouldn't be able to contemplate signs if they are ever interpreted in any manner. Its interpretation is only known to God. The 8th of October, 2024. It is very curious that the son of Jacob, who is the person because of whom the Jews are called the Jews, is not documented on Wikipedia and the Arabic version compared to the English version. If you search for the word Judah, Google would show only some pages and most of them are accurate. If you search for the word Yehuda, many results would be about Judas Iscariot rather than Judah, son of Jacob. When searching for Judah in the Bible, pictures of lions would show up because I think Judah was called a lion, or that one of his children would be called a lion. I have not read the story of Judah, and I don't know if this is true or not. 10 terrible months of division. We're killing each other, Jews. That's his best wish. And as I said, had they not attacked the 7th of October, I don't know what would have been left of our country, Israel, because we were killing ourselves, and it seemed almost unsolvable. Naphtali Bennett. Fragmented attention. Jordan Peterson. God would not show himself to humans. He would not also show his prophet to those who do not believe in him. You would also start comparing them to those you know, but that is wrong. You would not see the prophet or God and come back to people telling them, this is how they looked. God loves the prophet so much that he would not show him to people who would describe him without respect. When you said we're trying to score a circle, it dawned on me. People who try to do such a thing are actually doing it because they want this circle to prevent mercy from reaching other people. It is like trying to cause that God would only shine his mercy on you and your people, but not others. You did not coin the term nation of lions, especially since Judah was called a lion in the Bible. A nation of lions means a nation of descendants of Judah, which is the Jews. It is very awkward to hear someone say, without justification, that another person is bad. For Jordan, who continuously shows himself to be a proponent of good faith, providing evidence and contemplating facts often, I was weirded out by the fact that Jordan did not contest Naphtali's criticism of Erdogan. Why is he called a very bad person without being talked about? What are your evidence about that? Especially since being good or bad to someone else is a subjective thing. It is massively influenced and influenceable by your own opinions and prejudice. It is weird to hear that criticism about another person, and then you realize that maybe every time Naphtali speaks about good or bad things, it is often inaccurate. Maybe Iran is not bad, you know? Based on your criticism that it is bad, you have no evidence about that. So why should people believe you? Naseh Nishma means we will disobey, then we get scolded by God, and then we will listen. Naseh Nishma. It is like saying that we heard what God told us to do, but we will disobey it first. Until God punishes us for our treachery, then we will listen. Naseh means to disobey, not to do, not to do. The V between the two words indicates successive action. First disobeying, then listening after punishment. The 9th of October, 2024. You don't get to ask God what he did before the universe was created, or whatever. Especially if you already refuse what God had said. It is like the concept of Naseh Nishma, of we do and we listen. What makes it obligatory for you to actually do something is not because you listen to what God said, but because you want to learn something, but you're promising to go against it first, get punished, then heeding the warning the second time. It is like saying that a donkey does not fall in the hole twice, but he has to fall in the hole once in order to know that it is a hole. Similarly, you would ask questions whose answers you would not like. What did God do before he created the universe is none of anyone's business. So why ask? What would that knowledge allow you to do? What would you do if you knew what God did at that time? before creating the angels and before creating the world. You would just be insolent. Many Jews asked Moses a lot of questions only to contest him and to actually test God, to which even Jesus told his disciples not to test their Lord. It is similar. Asking questions for the sake of curiosity is different. It does not add any valuable effect. It would cause you to ask more and more questions. By asking too many questions, the Jews were only testing God's patience. You should not ask God for things if you're going to disbelieve in them when He does reply and speak them to you. Many people before us asked questions, and when they were answered, they chose to revert back to their old ways. It is like they were not satisfied with the truth because it didn't go their way. You would come to the question with your own prejudice anyway. You would have a preconceived notion of a specific answer or way of answering. And when that is not met, or when God actually punishes you for asking such questions, you revert to what you already know. Knowing more than you need to know could very much become a burden than a luxury.